Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook. Welcome to Sunday. And it's kind of like a sample because I just opened up a brand new bottle to me. This is from Bridgeland. Yes, I've talked to you because they're in Alberta. So am I. They're making really good stuff. Now, this they sent to me. It's brand new. They're just putting it out. It's their Artisian Wheat Whiskey, but it's the second release because they did one of these before. And the one they did before spent like 2/3 of its life in their Mascato Brandy cask and 1/3 in virgin oak. Now they've flipped that. So this has spent 2/3 of its life in virgin oak and 1/3 of its life in that ex Mascato Brandy cask. Still so dark. I mean, the label is beautiful, but the color is so dark. We'll see how this 58%, 80% wheat, 20% barley whiskey comes together. I've let it open up for about half an hour. So hopefully we've dialed it in and I can give you just my first thoughts on this Alberta wheat whiskey. 3, 4. Thanks for staying with me. As I said, we're going to get into this. They sent it to me, full disclosure. Guys, whatever I taste out of this will always be just my thoughts. And then I will compare it to this, Baldur's wheat whiskey. It's a 9-year-old 100% wheat whiskey, whereas this one is an 80% wheat whiskey. But as I said in the opener, it's still a single cask, so it's a small amount of whiskey that has journeyed through virgin oak and then their Mascato Brandy. Now, my problem with my camera and my lighting is it really doesn't do this bottle justice. It's gorgeous. This 500ml bottle looks sharp on the shelf. It feels good in the hand. It's a stocky bottle. It is less. It's less whiskey. It's only 500 mils, but 58.6%. So let's see this beautiful color, dark whiskey. Let's just get into it. And it's just my first thoughts. I poured it. Yes, it's been resting for half an hour, but I haven't even nosed it. I've just let it open up into the Nook and fill this place with some interesting notes. Oh, it is rich. It is also fruity. That brandy cask is absolutely present. And so it's got a little bit of almost wine quality, sugars, rich fruits, a bit of that edge of grape. It's got some apple. It also has cinnamon. Must be coming from that oak. It's got a lot of new oak in there, so it's got a little bit of a vanilla floral, right? So it's got that higher nose sweetness, and it does have some cinnamon and some spicing. Very interesting on the nose. Now, just in contrast, I know I'm going to do this later, but just thought, this is a 9-year-old 100% wheat. And this is much sweeter, lighter, toffee, vanilla, sugar, marshmallow, that kind of sweetness. Whereas this, it also is barley in there, 20% and 80% wheat, and then of course that brandy finish. Oh, coming back, it's ripe fruits, but also that sharp of apple skin. I'm taking a nice bite of an apple. It's got some jam notes, some berries, a little bit of raspberry. More sweeter, maybe more strawberry. It's definitely rich, full fruit, almost creamy, like it gives the impression of creamy. Let's see if it is creamy. All right, so this is this year's release of Bridgeland Wheat Whiskey, the 58.6% finished in Mascato Brandy, their own brandy casks. Cheers. That was still, a lot of that a lot of what you get in the nose carries across the palate, but it actually was more savory than I expected. The nose was quite sweet, but it was balanced with some tannins, you know, some of that black tea, oak tannin, oak structure, some a little bit barley nut, graham cracker. I often describe that, you know, where I've got a little of those barley sugars. More drying on the finish, or the early finish, than I expected. Like, it really cleans out across the palate. It's 58.6. It's pretty hot, and I think I should try it with some water. So I'm going to put some water on here just to see what proofing it down feels like, or has an effect. So I'm going to let that rest over there. I'll clear my palate a little bit. And I want to talk to you again about Baldur's. Now, I've shared that Last Mountain Distillery, you know, they sent this to me, and I think it's really sharp. It's a very interesting presentation. My favorite part, I will say, is I put it here, and hopefully the camera is capturing this. Aside from looking good, my favorite part, I hope that captures, is this label that they put on here. In a very small, compact way, I can see how they can reuse this label very quickly, hand right on there, because they're still a pretty small distillery in Lumsden, Saskatchewan. They can clearly tell you what's on there. So here you can look at the grid, and you know, they could have corn, barley, rye, wheat. It's got 100 written over in wheat, so it's 100% wheat, and so on. It tells you the age, 9 years. I have to say, that is my favorite part. This stone is fun, but I really appreciate the transparency on that. So this is 100% wheat instead of 80-20. So that's different. Plus, the casking is very different on here. It doesn't have any of that brandy finishing. I'm not sure. I thought they were working 9 years in ex-bourbon. They might have had some component of new oak. I'll have to look that up. But on the nose, this one, as I said, it's so sweet. It is pushing into maybe a little bit more familiar whiskey territory. You know, you've got that triple distilled Irish. You've got like a sweeter and lighter style. That's more what I'm getting on this. Now I'll try it on the palate. Cheers. Very much in the palate. You know, roasted marshmallows. It is also kind of creamy and coating. I can't remember if they chill filter, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like they don't. They've left some oils in here. It's got some more conversation. Perhaps because of the finishing, like, it doesn't dry off across the palate as much. It still plays around. There are a few knocks to this Baldur's. I'm trying to get to know a little bit more. I'm still not that far into it. I do find there is a little bit of mechanical, industrial, that kind of note that I get in very light distillates that's been aged in reused oak, perhaps. So maybe that's what's going on here. I'm not sure. It's good. It's sweet, it's light. It would appeal to Irish drinkers and light Canadian whiskey drinkers. And it is nice to have on the shelf as what 100%, because it also has that nice, you know, that creamy texture for sure. So this hasn't really rested well enough to integrate water. When we're watering a whiskey, it's really nice to let it rest far longer than I just did. But I've proofed this down. I didn't measure, eyedrop, mill, whatever. I just put in some water, because at 58%, it can take a bit of water. Let's see what water does for this newly released, you know, Artisian Wheat whiskey finished in Mascato Brandy. Actually, the water's tamed down some of the fruit notes. It's definitely strawberry pie. But some of the other complex notes right now are just kind of escaping me. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. But it's held up across the palate. Nice. Yeah, now I've shifted my fruit notes. You know, strawberry candy. You know those candies that are like a pinwheel, where there's some strawberry and some kind of white vanilla nougat. So I've got a little bit of that sweetness of vanilla, a little bit of the spicing. The spicing's toned down on this. So I was getting a lot of different variety of oak spices, even peppering. This has a little bit of the peppering. Was it the brandy that's in a French limousine oak? It could be. And I think maybe some of that character is actually still playing around in the palate, a little bit of that peppering. but it's played down in the water. The palate is definitely easier to sip, relax, enjoy. I would recommend a little splash of water on this, but the nose was a little bit more interesting on the full strength. Nothing wrong with this nose. Actually, I got just a hint of, it's gone. Chocolate wafer? Like chocolate? That's weird. I got something there. Something on the edge that I need to chase down a little bit. This is starting really, really well. This is just my first thoughts, and I'll need to return to it as I have with every bottle that they've sent me. You'll see it crop up a few months from now because I got to take it apart. I got to try it at different times. I got to have it in different contrasts. In here, while it's first thoughts, I will say, this is a richer product. It's also much bolder at 58%, but there's far more layers. This is a little bit of a simpler wheat whiskey. It's good for what it is. It's creamy, it's light, and I think it's approachable. And, like I said, 46%, it's probably non-chill. They probably even say it right on here, and I've forgotten that, and I apologize for that. Not really fair for them, but it drinks like they mentioned. Yeah, orchard fruits, spice, vanilla, drinks just like they say, and worth trying if you like wheat. And it's also worth a collector like me having 100% wheat. In this comparison, though, I must say this is a richer, fuller, layered whiskey, and a great release, you guys. Thanks for letting me talk about it on this release weekend. I hope other people are able to find it. I've seen your stuff on more shelves than ever before across the whiskey stores that I go into here up in the Edmonton area. Cheers to you guys. Thanks for sending this. What do you guys think of this Mascato Brandy finished wheat and barley whiskey from Bridgeland? Cheers.